Foundations, the community art space opening was a success despite, or perhaps because of, the media attention. Local artists displayed their work alongside pieces from Elena's personal collection, and the upstairs studio buzzed with children trying watercolors for the first time. Sophie moved through the crowd with practiced ease, though her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. "You've created something special here," said a woman who had been quietly observing from a corner. She extended her hand. "I'm Olivia Chen. I work with Alex." Sophie tensed. "Is this another attempt to fix things?" "Because you can tell your boss." "Actually," Olivia interrupted, "Alex doesn't know I'm here. And he's not my boss anymore, at least temporarily." Sophie frowned. "What do you mean?" "He stepped down as CEO yesterday," Olivia explained. "He appointed an interim leadership team and transferred controlling shares to a trust with strict ethical guidelines about how Horizon's technology should be developed." "Why would he do that?" Sophie asked, genuinely confused. "You'd have to ask him," Olivia replied. "But between us, I think he's trying to rebuild something from the ground up." He mentioned foundations. After Olivia left, Sophie found herself distracted, her thoughts returning to Alex and their final conversation. When the event ended and the last guests departed, she sat alone on the staircase connecting the cafe to the art space, remembering how they had painted these walls together. A knock at the door startled her. Through the glass, she saw Alex standing in the rain, no umbrella, no fancy car waiting nearby. Sophie hesitated before unlocking the door. "We're closed." "I know," Alex said, making no move to enter. "I just wanted to see how the opening went." "It looks beautiful. Why did you step down from Horizon?" Sophie asked directly. Alex looked surprised. "How did you—" Olivia stopped by. He nodded, understanding. "I built Horizon to create technology that improves people's lives. Somewhere along the way, I lost sight of that mission. The company became about growth, about stock prices, about my own ego." He paused. "Working here at Brushstrokes, I remembered what it feels like to build something real, something that directly helps people." "So what now?" Sophie asked. "Now I rebuild. Both Horizon and—" He hesitated. "Whatever else might be salvageable." They stood in silence, the distance between them filled with unspoken words. "I met your friend Garrett," Sophie finally said. "He offered me money to help discredit you." Alex winced. "I'm sorry you were dragged into corporate politics." "I'm not," Sophie surprised herself by saying. "It helped me understand what you were running from." She stepped aside, a silent invitation to enter. Inside, they sat at Sophie's favorite table by the window, rain streaming down the glass outside. "I was so angry," Sophie admitted. "Not just because you lied about your name or your wealth, but because I thought everything between us was a game to you." "It wasn't," Alex insisted. "When I came to Portland, I was just looking for an escape. I never expected to find home." The simple word hung between them, heavy with meaning. "I don't know if I can trust you," Sophie said honestly. "I know," Alex acknowledged. "Trust has to be rebuilt, like foundations after an earthquake." Elena appeared from the back room, carrying 3 cups of tea. "I thought I heard voices," she said, setting the tray down and joining them without invitation. "Grandma, we're having a private conversation," Sophie protested. "Good. I've been waiting for you two to have one." Elena turned to Alex. "My granddaughter is stubborn and proud, like her mother, and you, young man, have made serious mistakes. But in my 76 years, I've learned that the people worth keeping in your life are those who see you clearly, both your light and your shadows, and choose to stay anyway." After Elena retreated, Sophie and Alex sat in silence, her grandmother's words settling between them. "I'd like to start over," Alex finally said. "Not as James, not as Alexander Reed, CEO, just as Alex. The man who fell in love with you while fixing your leaking pipes and painting your walls." Sophie studied him. Seeing beyond both disguises, the homeless handyman and the polished billionaire, to the person underneath who had helped her build her dream, who had listened to her stories, who had seen her. "I don't want to start over," she said finally. "I want to continue from where we are now, with honesty." "No more walls between us!" Alex reached across the table, his hand open in invitation. After a moment's hesitation, Sophie placed her hand in his. "I can't promise it will be easy," she warned. "The things worth building rarely are," Alex replied. Outside, the rain had stopped and the first light of dawn illuminated Portland's skyline. Inside Brushstrokes Cafe, two people began the patient work of building something true, one honest conversation at a time. The unexpected news. Olivia Chen stared at the pregnancy test on the bathroom counter, her hands trembling as two pink lines appeared. After 3 years of trying, of temperature tracking, and disappointed tears at the arrival of each period, it had finally happened. At 33, the marine biologist had begun to think that motherhood might not be in her future. "Marcus!" she called out, her voice catching. "Marcus, come here!" Her husband of 5 years appeared in the doorway, his dark hair slightly disheveled from running his hands through it, a habit when he was focused on work calls. Marcus Delgado worked as a telecommunications specialist, often traveling to set up systems for corporate clients. "What's up?" he asked, before his eyes fell on the test. His expression shifted from confusion to surprise. "Are you—" Olivia nodded, tears welling in her eyes. "We're having a baby." The smile that broke across Marcus's face seemed genuine as he wrapped his arms around her, lifting her slightly off the ground. "This is amazing, Liv. Everything we've been hoping for." That night, they celebrated with a bottle of sparkling cider, Olivia already embracing the lifestyle changes pregnancy would bring. She watched as Marcus scrolled through his phone, smiling at something on the screen. "Work stuff?" she asked casually. "Oh, yeah. Jenkins is having issues with the Singapore installation." He set his phone face down on the table. "But let's not talk about that. This is our night." As the weeks passed, Olivia noticed subtle changes in Marcus. He took more calls in another room, claiming they were confidential client matters. His business trips seemed to multiply, sometimes with only a day's notice. Twice, she'd called the hotel where he was supposedly staying, only to be told there was no Marcus Delgado registered. "It must be under the company account," he'd explained when she mentioned it. Corporate privacy policies. At 12 weeks pregnant, Olivia sat in her doctor's office, listening to her baby's heartbeat for the first time. She'd asked Marcus to join her, but he'd texted that morning about an emergency client meeting. "Would you like a recording to share with the father?" her doctor asked kindly. "Yes, please," Olivia replied, trying to mask her disappointment. That evening, Marcus returned home late, apologizing profusely and bearing flowers. "I'm so sorry, Liv. How did it go?" "Is everything okay with the baby?" She showed him the sonogram, watched his face soften at the tiny image. "The heartbeat was strong," she said, offering him the recording. Later that night, Olivia woke to find Marcus's side of the bed empty. From the living room, she could hear his hushed voice. "I know, I miss you too. It's complicated right now. I'll try to get away this weekend." Something cold settled in Olivia's stomach. She retreated silently back to bed, her hand resting protectively over the small swell of her belly. Tomorrow, she decided, she would follow him. Shattered illusions. The next morning, Olivia called in sick to the Marine Research Center where she worked. She watched Marcus leave for what he claimed was a 3-day conference in Denver, kissing her goodbye with promises to check in regularly. Instead of heading toward the airport, his car turned downtown. Olivia followed at a careful distance in her hybrid SUV, her heart pounding so loudly she could barely hear the navigation system. After 30 minutes, Marcus parked outside a sleek apartment building in a trendy neighborhood they'd once considered living in, before deciding it was too expensive. She watched from across the street as Marcus punched in a door code and disappeared inside. 20 minutes later, he emerged with a woman. Tall and slender with auburn hair, she laughed at something Marcus said before he pulled her close for a kiss that left no doubt about their relationship. Olivia's hands gripped the steering wheel until her knuckles turned white. She snapped several photos with her phone, feeling sick, but needing evidence of what she was seeing. The couple walked to a nearby cafe, sitting outside where Olivia could clearly see them. After they parted ways, the woman apparently heading to work, Olivia approached the apartment building. A resident exiting held the door and she slipped inside. On a hunch, she checked the directory. Monsieur Delgado, apt 5 on 12. Her husband had another home. That evening, Olivia researched the woman she'd seen. Through social media, she identified her as Isabel Wright, a veterinarian at an animal hospital downtown. According to her profile, Isabel had been in a relationship for almost 3 wonderful years with a telecommunications specialist named Mark. When Marcus called that night, Olivia managed to keep her voice steady. "How's Denver?" she asked. "Good, busy with presentations. The hotel's nice. Wish you were here." "I wish I was there too," she replied, her free hand cradling her belly. "What hotel is it again?" "The Westridge." "Listen, I should get going. Early meeting tomorrow." After hanging up, Olivia called the Westridge Hotel in Denver. As expected, they had no reservation for Marcus Delgado. 2 days later, when Marcus returned home, Olivia was waiting with printouts of the photos she'd taken and screenshots of Isabel's social media posts mentioning Mark. "Who am I?" she asked when he walked through the door. "Am I your real wife, or is she?" Marcus froze, his face draining of color as he saw the evidence spread across their dining table. "Liv, I can explain." "Explain what?" "That you've been living a double life. That you have another woman who thinks she's been in a committed relationship with you for 3 years. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this," Marcus said, dropping his bag. "I met Isabel during that Colorado project. It was just supposed to be a fling, but then I fell for her too." "Too?" Olivia laughed bitterly. "You don't get to claim you love me while maintaining an entire separate life." "I do love you. I couldn't choose." "Well, now you don't have to," Olivia said, sliding a folder toward him. "Divorce papers. And one more thing, does Isabel know I exist? Does she know about the baby?" The look of shame on his face was answer enough. New beginnings, Olivia waddled through her apartment, making last-minute preparations before her mother arrived to help with the baby's imminent arrival. At 38 weeks pregnant, even the simplest tasks had become challenging adventures. She paused to catch her breath. Admiring the nursery she and her friends had painted with an ocean theme, gentle waves and colorful fish swimming across the walls. Her phone chimed with a text from Daniel. "Just checking in. Need anything before the big day?" Over the past 4 months, their friendship had deepened gradually. After the research expedition ended, Daniel had stayed in town to complete his documentary, often asking Olivia to consult on technical aspects. Their professional collaboration had evolved into casual dinners, long walks by the shore, and eventually, a tender kiss 3 weeks ago that neither had rushed to define. "Just your moral support," she texted back. "Mom arrives tomorrow. Doctor says it could be any day now." His response came quickly. "You've got this. Both my moral support and actual presence whenever you need it." The doorbell rang, and Olivia opened it to find Daniel holding 2 cups of her favorite herbal tea and a small paper bag. "I know your mom's not here yet, but I thought you might like some company," he said, almost shy despite their growing closeness. "And those almond cookies you mentioned craving." She welcomed him in, touched by his thoughtfulness. They settled on her couch, talking about his documentary's final edits and her maternity leave plans. "I got a call from Isabel yesterday," Olivia mentioned, sipping her tea. "She's moving to Seattle for a wildlife veterinary position." "How do you feel about that?" Daniel asked. "Good for her. We both needed fresh starts." Olivia paused. She mentioned running into Marcus with someone new. Daniel studied her face. "And how do you feel about that?" "Honestly? Nothing much. Maybe a little sorry for whoever she is," Olivia shrugged. "It's strange. 6 months ago, I thought my life was over. Now I can barely remember why I thought he was so wonderful." Daniel reached for her hand, his touch warm and steady. "Some people are illusionists. They show you what you want to see." "And what do you show people?" she asked, meeting his gaze. "Just me. Nothing fancy or complicated." His smile was self-deprecating. "What you see is what you get." "I like what I see," she said quietly. Later, as they walked slowly along the beach near her apartment, Olivia insisting fresh air was good for her, Daniel told her about his childhood growing up in a lighthouse keeper's family. "Is that why you're so comfortable on the water?" she asked. Probably. It gets in your blood. He helped her navigate around a piece of driftwood. I've been offered a position with National Geographic, a series on coastal ecosystems. Olivia's heart sank. That's wonderful. When do you leave? That's the thing, he said, stopping to face her. It's based right here. They want to feature the restoration work your team is doing. I'd be around for at least a year. The relief that flooded through her was surprising in its intensity. So you're staying? If that's okay with you. More than okay. A particularly strong wave crashed nearby, sending spray into the air that caught the late afternoon sunlight, creating momentary rainbows. Daniel tucked a strand of hair behind Olivia's ear, his touch lingering on her cheek. I know your life is about to get incredibly busy and complicated, he said, and I know you're still healing, but I'd like to be part of it all if you'll let me. Olivia leaned into his touch. I'd like that too. When he kissed her, it wasn't with Marcus's practiced charm or calculated passion, but with genuine tenderness that asked for nothing in return. 3 days later, when Olivia went into labor, Daniel drove her to the hospital, stayed through the 18-hour delivery, and was the first person besides Olivia to hold little Mira Chen when she finally arrived. Standing by Olivia's hospital bed, with Mira's tiny hand wrapped around his finger, Daniel looked like he'd found his home, just as Olivia had found hers. Not in another person, but in herself, with room enough now to welcome love on her own terms.